So just a little bit about our journey that we've been on in terms of coming up with our plan. And I suppose to put some of it into context as well, it is a bit of a one-man and a dog operation in terms of what we've got. There isn't a big team of people doing this anymore. There's a couple of us left over from PASA, effectively, that are trying to do this. We've got a 1.2 billion target on the procurement work stream. And we had to, and it went through many versions. It went through many versions in terms of what is it, given our limited resources, that we should be doing nationally that's going to make a difference here. And also to make clear that the QUIP agenda for us in the department is not the be-all and end-all at all. It's a vehicle towards the procurement strategy that we need to have in place anyway. QUIP is just one of the routes for us. But what we needed to start being clear about was, well, what is it that we can do centrally that's going to make a difference and that makes sense to do once only? And in doing that as well, we needed to start being quite honest about what a lot of the problems in the system were. What is it that we're up against? I'm sure I don't need to tell anybody in this room about the need for data and that without that spend data that starting to make any steps towards efficiencies is always going to be a struggle. The collaboration, and I know that's been touched on today, in terms of the collaboration has to be a good thing, but are we learning the lessons about how to do it and how not to do it, where to collaborate, where not to collaborate, how to put things in place? We had collaborative procurement hubs in the NHS. There's still some in existence, but many of them are gone now or going. There needed to be a better understanding of the system in terms of what was out there in the landscape, in terms of supply chain, buying solutions. What are these organisations and what can they offer? Providers needing to use the CPH, the Collaborative Procurement Hub staff more intelligently as well. And that comes back to my point really about that these contracts are not the answer. Having decent contracts in place, not until the suppliers have genuinely got the faith that the volumes are going to go through those contracts will we actually get the best prices through them. And I'm not sure that the collaborative procurement hubs were always used particularly effectively in trying to embed the contracts in rather than just doing the sourcing. Providers needing to introduce better local procurement policies, better logistics and inventory management. It's all the inventory management one's always a struggle to get to the boardroom of any trust. It's not sexy, it's not exciting, and we've struggled with it. And the last point on there, which is probably the one closest to my heart, which is around what providers needing to recognise what procurement can actually deliver, what it can do. Not measuring its own procurement function on how many requisitions it can process, but start to understand what procurement can do for its organisation, and that procurement really should be at board level. So, I do hope you can read that. I've tried to make it bigger since the last time I've done this. So this is our plan. And as I said, and this is not a kind of another version of it, this is the one that I put in front of Peter Coates yesterday. This is what we consider now to be the things that we can do centrally that are going to make a difference. And I've got milestones against those things, and I have to report into QUIP as well as into the commercial director on the progress of these things. Adoption of GS1, which is a bad title really for what it is, which is around the common coding. And what it is nationally that we should be doing is working with industry to do that. That shouldn't be happening at a local level. You shouldn't have individual trusts having to work with suppliers to come towards a common coding, barcoding system. We should be doing that nationally. And what we should also be doing nationally is making sure that all the systems, the inventory management systems and e-procurement systems are compatible with that so that they comply. And then what we have to do is explain to the NHS where the benefits come from, because obviously having the products all coded in the same way in itself does not bring you the efficiency. So what is it that a trust needs to do to start getting the efficiencies out of having common coding? Making better use of buying solutions, that's quite a current one at the moment. We'll probably be finishing that in early next year. And that comes from my previous point about just what we need to do is provide the evidence for the NHS on where buying solutions can bring benefits, or not, as the case may be. And we keep an open mind about what the results of that will be, because buying solutions needs to be able to demonstrate that. Pricing transparency and addressing markets. And again, in some markets, understanding and appreciating that there are some things that we should do nationally to tackle certain markets. Where we're heading towards monopoly in some cases, it's nationally that should be addressed. But the pricing transparency one there is... There is a lot of passion for this one at the moment, and that's about starting to, and certainly in some medical areas in the NHS, start to kind of blow the top off some of the prices a bit, start to expose them out and get away from this culture that this is commercially confidential information and that there's all these people out there that have got the best price but they're not allowed to tell anybody else about it. And we've got a lot of chief execs now that are quite willing to do that, to expose it now. It's not dreadfully easy, and in some of those areas, you know, it's actually getting to a point that you can compare the prices is the devil's own business, because there's all kinds of deals that have been made and all kinds of services and things that have been included with the product which make it really difficult to do, but we're going to find a way through that. The Procurement for Sustainability, which is quite simply just about providing the evidence of the links between efficiency and carbon reduction. It should be a no-brainer. It should be 2 ticks in 2 boxes, that we can reduce carbon and save money at the same time. Innovation, there's been an ongoing ITAP programme hosted by the Department of Health, which has really been to invite industry to bring to us those products that should be able to provide efficiency for the NHS, and then start a programme of implementing them, and that's ongoing at the moment. Excuse me. The best value pharmacy is really about trying to demonstrate what it is that we can do on a regional level that can make a difference around medicine. And so that's not about contracting, that's about starting to change prescribing practices and looking at some growth areas like home care, which is just something that is about $1 billion now in the NHS, but is really not understood, and tackling that at a regional level. The product rationalisation one is under review at the moment, and at the moment it's up there as just being a framework agreement, so that that trusts can purchase services to help them with their product rationalisation. But I'm not sure that's the right product there. I need to review that. Improving the procurement within trusts, and again this comes down to the one that I'm most passionate about, because to a certain extent I don't think that the rest of it is worth doing unless we can start to structure attitudes now within the NHS. The burning platform's been mentioned already today, and I've been in procurement long enough to think that this might actually be the opportunity that we have to change things and to actually be able to get it to the board. They're starting to listen. We're starting to actually get chief executives come and talk to us now and say, what is it that I can do? What are the things that I can start to do in my organisation? I've got a diagnostic which should be going out in the next couple of weeks to the NHS, which is a bit of it's not supposed to be a huge exercise, but it should be something that a chief executive can sit down and start to recognise their own organisation for better or worse around procurement. And so it asks questions like, have you got any control over the reps that are in your organisation and the access that they have to your clinicians? And do you know what impact that has on the purchasing decisions that are made in your organisation? So there's those sort of things starting to happen now. Another part of that programme is specifically engaging with the non-exec directors, recognising that often it's the non-exec directors in a trust that are the ones with the commercial background and the willingness to drive some of this. The last one there, the better IT systems, I suppose to a certain extent is the vision in all of this. It's the vision that one day that we should be able to have an Amazon-type system across the NHS that can give you live prices and that give you the transparency of those prices as well. Quite what we do to deliver that is unclear at the moment, and part of the reason it's on here is so that we don't lose sight of it. It's not an easy one. We know it's not. We know that the system side of things has never been an easy one to tackle on a national level, but we don't want to lose sight of it. So as I said, I think the core for me still in here is around structuring attitudes and starting to change that perception of procurement, and that's what I'm going to be spending the majority of my time doing. The other things that are on here are the deliverables that should start to demonstrate savings for trusts on the local level as soon as possible. And I'll leave it there. Thank you.